way.
Yeah, honestly, if you get to the end of the class and your only takeaway is I I still I still love this and I still want to go, that's huge because I think it's really important that you fall in love with acting and you fall in love with this world.
Yeah, so the way that we kind of envision this is it's sort of like a college VO 101 class. So we are expecting that the majority of the people taking the class either have no previous experience or have just started to dip their toes into the water and maybe have started to book a little bit, but they're not working as regularly as they might want. Because we're just using these extemporaneous sort of bullet points of like, let's talk about acting. We
Yeah.
both
Like we did
totally
use the book as sort of a skeleton for the
touched
syllabus of the class, but we didn't want it to just be
us
us
reading
reading
the
our
book.
book to you.
No.
Yeah.
So
But
like
yeah,
we might start talking about acting and I'll talk about something and he's like, "Well, I don't do it that way." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And so then it's a little bit of seeing each of us individually.
he
Well,
would have
for
referred
gut,
he would have
Spider-Man.
right because Spider-Man would be
I'd be
dead.
like,
You
"Stop
know?
those jokes. Stop the jokes."
Right. There would be no more Spider-Man.
Hello, I am Russ
Hello.
Milheim from the Direct. Thank you guys both for talking to me today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
taking the
chatting with
time,
us.
Russ.
Of course, of course. I hear you guys have a new acting class, so I,
We
I had
do.
to I had to talk to you guys about it. M-
Absolutely.
My first question is just it's a simple one, and I'm sure you get it a lot, but it's why now? Why was
Mhm.
this the moment to start all of this?
I think it really had to
Yeah.
do with us realizing that we could. And what I mean by that is obviously we've been doing voiceover for a very long time. We wrote a book, then we did the 10th anniversary edition. And through that whole time, people kept saying, "Will you teach a class? Can you teach a class?" And we never envisioned how it could work with our crazy schedules. Like we weren't available Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. So we were like, would always be canceling. This isn't going to work. I don't know how we make this happen. And then I think you sort of had an aha moment. You
Yeah,
were,
I think I was doing a like master class, from on the master class app. And I was, listening to Sam Jackson talk about acting or something like that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I didn't like Sam Jackson didn't say, be there, Tuesday night at 6. And like it was just they recorded their videos, had them available. I could sort of do them on my time. And we realized, oh, maybe there is a way for us to put a class out there for people who either don't want to read the book or who want to read the book but get it from a different angle, and who really, benefit from like a classroom scenario where we like give homework and stuff like that. And we're more, sort of talking and riffing on stuff. So we auditioned a bunch of different platforms, landed on Kajabi, which, already does a lot of, course type
that
work.
they're known for hosting classes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
courses.
And then, we thought it was going to be easy. We're like, this will be easy. We know
Like,
we'll
oh,
do it based on the book. It'll
in
be
like a
fine.
month, it'll be
Yeah.
fine. No, it took us a year to
And a
do it.
year later, we're talking to
Yeah.
you, Russ. So,
But
so
you
But
made
we
it.
did,
yeah.
I mean, like we shot it's over 9 hours of like us teaching to the camera to people's, to people
Classroom
the
style.
classroom style to be able to
Yeah.
understand what we're doing. But the like course breaks down into like 17 different modules. There's various lessons with homework. We wrote a workbook to accompany it with original content and scripts and copy so people can practice it. They do get an
An
in the
audio.
resources
Yeah.
the audiobook of our book so
In
that they
case
can
they're,
listen
yeah.
to it. But we have led warm-ups and lots of other resources too. But yeah, it became sort of out of necessity, but also out of awareness that like, oh, we don't have to do this thing scheduled on a clock, on a calendar and make this happen because our lives are crazy. But a lot of people's lives are crazy. People work double shifts. They're a single parent. They whatever's going on in their life.
Mhm.
And we want people to still feel empowered and get information, even if you can't tune in every Tuesday at 6. Like it's nice to have that freedom and flexibility that at 3 a.m. in your bathrobe, in your own living room, if you want to do it, you can do it. And if you want to do one lesson, you do the one lesson. If you want to do the whole module at that time, you do a whole module. Like it's really self-led and
And
self-guided.
there was another added element as to, the why now. And I think it's that with AI being what AI is in this sphere right now and how it's affecting things, we feel that a lot of the types of jobs that we used to do to cut our teeth and to learn the things that we teach in the class and, we've written into the book, a lot of those jobs are at risk right now. And we wanted to make sure that the types of information, the types of learning that we got doing those jobs, that if those jobs aren't there,
That
um,
repertory style of like NPCs and little background characters and things like that, if that goes away
yeah,
to AI,
then we want people to still be able to get the information that they would have gotten from doing those jobs.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm a bit of an optimist. I think it's, the pendulum's going to swing, and it's going to, those jobs may go away for a while, but they'll come back. But, just in case or in the meantime, we wanted to make sure that people had the information.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry, I think, is a
Yes.
safe way to approach things.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's why now, and it's a very sort of fundamental class, like it's VO 101 kind of.
Yeah.
A title can be kind of everything. And the course is voiceover, voice actor, the course.
Mhm.
Why did you guys land on that specifically?
Because our book was voiceover, voice actor, what it's like behind the mic, and then the follow-up was voiceover, voice actor, the extended edition.
Keeping
and so we
the
thought we would
brand.
keep it in that sort of
Right.
like, you guys know our brand, it's already out there. This
But
is
we
what
could
we
have,
do.
yeah, but we could have just said voiceover.
Yeah.
But, from the beginning, we also stressed the fact that what we think gives people longevity in this business and really makes people poke through is the acting. Is voiceover is voice acting. And so, a lot of the stuff we talk about in both the book and the course is the acting side of it. And you don't have to have come from an acting background to take the class. We pack it full of plenty of acting type work that you can learn to do, and hone skills you can learn and hone.
Yeah, by just taking the class.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to come from already experience and a background in that.
Well, and I think that's a good transition point to one of my questions was,
Yeah.
there, like you guys mentioned, this class is for people of varying experience.
Mhm.
But what is that balance of like how you structured the course to be for, people with very little to no experience, minimal, medium, and then maybe like really experienced that just want to hear someone else's thoughts on everything?
Yeah, so the way that we kind of envision this is it's sort of like a college VO 101 class. So we are expecting that the majority of the people taking the class either have no previous experience or have just started to dip their toes into the water and maybe have started to book a little bit, but they're not working as regularly as they might want, or they feel like they've only done a couple things and they want to branch out into a different area and things like that. We're not really trying to gear the class towards like super equal peer level sort of our personal circle of people that are working at the level that we are working at.
And we know that because we had some peers review it.
We did. We
Yeah.
had beta testers for the class. And we really did. We had a variety of people at different levels and sort of calibers come test it for us so that we could get honest feedback of like, did this sit with you? Did you feel like you got too much information? Was it not easy to follow? Did you get enough information? And we tried to use the data that we got from our variety of testers to help us hone who do we want to market this to? Who do we want to be taking this class? And have we made it too redundant? Let's get rid of some of that. Have we made it not clear enough? Let's add something. So we tried to cater to, like I said, this sort of beginner, but like you can come in from nothing, but you can also come in from something. It's just, I wouldn't necessarily say we're trying to target this class to like the working pros that are working on,
Mostly because the questions that we kept getting from people who wanted a class were, hey, I don't know anything about voice acting, but it looks really interesting, or I love this
so I
stuff.
get into it.
Yeah, but I don't know where to start. Like where do I even begin? That was the question. And so we built the class for that, to answer that question, to really help out people at that level.
But what's really cool, because it's online, we can always update the class
Right.
as we feel we need to. So if we start noticing that we're getting a lot of comments from the people taking the class that there's an area that they feel is not filled out enough or they're missing something, if we start to notice that there's a recurring theme, we can go into the booth or on the soundstage and record another video and upload it and add an additional module. That's something that we are able and capable of doing. And also, if a lot of people have taken the class and they're like, we want you to do a higher or more of a master class, then we could potentially do that. But that would be down the line. We're starting with this. We're seeing if we can help people get this information in the way that people were requesting us to do, and a way that we could, because we can't do the Tuesdays at 6 kind of a format.
Yeah. Well, and looking over, the website and how it lays out everything, I thought it was really cool that, obviously I assume, there's acting advice and kind of performance stuff, but you also go the nitty gritty, like how to set up a home studio, like all that. And I think that nitty gritty, is so important because, as someone, I went to film school, and so much of that nitty gritty wasn't really focused on, like, you'd get like the big swings of like how to be a director or how to, write movies. And it's just like, I learned more than I learned in film school from being like an extra on set for like a week.
Absolutely.
100%.
Which is also why, like Yuri's saying, like we don't want all those tiny jobs to go away because that's where you're learning information. You're watching and you're like, oh, I see how the first AD relates to that. Like you just see, you get soaked into the world of it by experiencing it. And if that experiential element goes away because those jobs aren't available, that's what we're hoping this course is going to be like, okay, we know that you're going to show up on set when you finally do book a bigger whatever that is, but these are things you need to know, and this is how it plays out, and these are who the people are. And yes, we're assuming that you're going to come in and do some talented work on your own, but like if you haven't done a lot, here's some basic information on how to do that and how to pursue that. And like so we really are trying to hit multiple levels simultaneously so you get a really solid foundation so you can make a decision about, is this something I want to pursue? Is this a career that I could see myself doing, or do I just is this not going to bring me joy in my life, and I should find another way to enlighten myself in that way.
Yeah, honestly, if you get to the end of the class and your only takeaway is I I still I still love this and I still want to go, that's huge because I think it's really important that you fall in love with acting and you fall in love with this world because I'm sure Russ at this point too that it's people aren't always going to pay you to do this. As a matter of fact, arguably they'll rarely pay you to do this.
Yes.
So there's got to be something besides a financial gain that keeps your heart full while you're doing it, keeps you
Yeah.
motivated.
Yeah, I thought it was yeah, when I went to film school, 4 years, you know what term was never mentioned once? Being an
What?
extra. Simple things. Simple thing of how things just function, the
Oh
stand-in,
yeah.
like just
Yeah.
simple structure things.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
mentioned once. And I'm
That's
like, that's
crazy to me.
crazy.
And I
That's
we
crazy.
always recommend to actors to intern in
Hmm.
casting offices. So you can be in the room but not auditioning, but see all the
Watch
people that
it.
come through and watch, how the casting directors talk after that person
Volunteer
leaves
to be a
before they come
reader,
in.
whatever that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is it is possibly the most
I
valuable
mean,
thing
like
you can
we
do.
would recommend people just go on set, but you're not allowed to. So
Right.
like it's a very tricky
Right.
sort of like
Right.
place of like how do you get that on set
Yeah.
experience
That was always, I
until you
mean,
get that.
like it's been a while, and like I definitely learned that on set is just not my world, and I don't want to do that for a living. But anyone that's
Yeah.
like, hey, what do I do if I want to get on set? It's like,
Yeah.
in the unusual advice, which I think is just the best way to do it, is literally, yeah, be an extra because that's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you get thrown in the
Yep.
middle. You learn
Mhm.
everything, and then you also
Yeah.
can casually meet people, and that's how you get
Yeah.
in, and you get that
Yeah, and if you
experience.
if you if you really think you're more on the film side, volunteer to be a PA. But yeah, being an extra, you're gonna see everything that
Well,
happens.
that's
I
the
don't know who
thing.
gets treated worse. I don't know who
Yeah.
gets treated
Oh, well,
worse,
no, no, no.
extras or
Yeah.
PAs.
Well, that's the thing. Even as an extra, you get to casually, if you're,
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
about it, you meet people, and then you can be a PA. You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
let you in for a day or two, and then that's how you break the doors down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that
Exactly.
nitty gritty is so important. So it is really cool to see that you guys are,
Yeah.
tackling all that as well.
Well, it's important. I mean, people need that information, and that's I think actually that's one of the reasons that our book has been so successful is that we did try to hit it from multiple angles, and so that's our hope also with the class is that people feel like we're hitting all these angles and that we're not just regurgitating the book because they could also go read the book, but sometimes people get information in a different way when they hear it and we're speaking it to them and they get it off the page. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the hope.
When it comes to, the book, how would you say that this class offers like something new? So if someone has read the book and knows it like front to back,
Yeah.
what is that new element that this class is going to offer them?
Well, I think what you get is unlike in the book where we sort of had to hash it out between ourselves behind the scenes and then figure out what we were writing, because we're just using these extemporaneous sort of bullet points of like, let's talk about acting. We
Yeah.
both
Like
take
we
them
did use the book as sort of a skeleton
to
for
touch
the
down.
syllabus of the class, but we didn't want it to just be
Us
us
reading
reading
the
our
book.
book to you.
No.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
we might start talking about acting and I'll talk about something and he's like, "Well, I don't do it that way." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And so then it's a little bit of seeing each of us individually, but also getting to see that not everybody does it the same way and everybody has a different system and a different pattern and people have different needs. We have literally have different learning styles, right? And
Mhm.
so you're going to get information in a different way from a different medium. And because the two of us are both talking about the meat of the acting, when I come at it and I'm like, okay, I need you to look at the who, what, where, when, why, how. So you're a detective and you're figuring this out, and Yuri's like, but don't forget to listen. Like we're coming from different points and you're hearing it in a different way and you're getting that experience. But you're also like,
Yeah, there's
people
a
are like, wait, what do you do? Why do you do it that way? And we like talk about it because
yeah,
it's
there's a certain
interesting.
quality of riffing that
Yeah,
we wouldn't have gotten
of
if it
course.
were just, the written
Because then
page.
it's too polished and like, yeah, then we've already put it all together.
I when it comes to, you mentioned mediums, right?
Mhm.
Because there's so many different ways in, to voice act, so many different styles and whatnot. How much does this course focus on, people that maybe want to voice anime or want to
Mhm.
do video game voicing, compared to like an animated show? How do
Yeah.
you address those distinct desires from people?
We did our best to sort of break it out into all the different types of things that are out there
Mhm.
currently. I mean, it's changing all the time, but we do talk about anime versus recording pre-lay animation versus
Audiobooks,
doing audiobooks,
commercial.
commercials, video games, narration, promos, all of that stuff. How each of them is similar, and you can use the same skills to attack, all
But
of those
also the
things.
uniqueness of
But
each of
that,
those.
yeah, and we actually stress that, a lot of people sometimes come into this wanting to do just one thing. Like I run into a lot of people who are like, I want to get into anime,
Yeah.
and I'm like, awesome. I watched a lot of anime growing up too. But may I also suggest that you don't limit yourself to that because those contracts are not great. Like you won't be able to make a living off of just doing that. So maybe also think about auditioning for video games or
Or
auditioning for
commercials. Or,
commercials and even if that's not at the top of your list, we wanted you to have the information for all those things so that you could know about those areas too because you might not be getting into it with that in mind.
but the course has like 17 different modules, and within each module, there's various lessons, and then there's homework for each lesson. And we've created and crafted an entire workbook that's got original content, scripts, and practice copy, and things of that nature of the variety of types of jobs you would work. So you get chances to practice each of those and look at them and see how, when you show up for a performance capture script, now obviously every studio does it slightly different, but how that might look versus when you show up to do a dubbing job, what that might look like on a spreadsheet. So, like, it's literally packed with the variety of types of jobs that we might do.
Hmm.
Every time I've met and talked to plenty of people, a lot of friends, and who are actors, and obviously the trouble breaking in is a process, and it's very
Mhm.
difficult.
Hmm.
So for you guys, I'm just curious, when you guys are working to break in, what is something that kept you going through all the, like, figuring out, getting your foot on the ground, and that whole process? What can you tell people and to relate to, and like, yeah, this is how I got through that.
I mean, I think everybody, I alluded to before, we talked about before, you gotta love it. You gotta love the game.
Yeah.
Because that's what's gonna keep you going when people aren't hiring you. Because look, I mean, still like a good audition rate is booking like 3%
Which
of,
doesn't sound like very much.
which
A bunch of auditions, you
which
get
sounds
three. Like,
terrible.
Yeah.
But that's like a good rate. So a lot, most of the time you're gonna be reading, and sending in your auditions and not getting the role. Not because you suck, but because there are a lot of people out there and there's so many different factors going into the decision making.
mhm.
But it's as far as, keeping you going, I think you gotta love it, but everybody's gonna have a slightly different path. So I wish I could say, here's the thing, but when we've talked to like all these people that we've met throughout this, everybody has a slightly different way in.
But I do think that a common theme is like having a support group. And that doesn't mean that it has to be fellow actors. It just means that you are enriching your life in such a way that through your ups and downs as being a human, that you have some basis of touchstone around you, that when it's going really well, you can celebrate that. And when it's not going so great, you can bemoan that together, but that you are not alone in the endeavor. And ideally, I would love it. And I'm really bad at things like Reddits and whatever, those kind of like communities where
Message
you
boards and
message board. Like I'm not good
Yeah.
at that,
Yeah.
but like I would love it if there was a way, because the Kajabi platform didn't have a system like that in place. But I would love it if people who take the class can sort of build a way to like reach
build
out
a
to each other
community.
and
Yeah.
build a community where like I've taken the class and you've taken the class and you've taken the class. And if we just decide like, hey, I don't know you, but do you want to hop on? No cameras on, but like let's just hop on and read scripts together because there's someone out there that knows what I know that can do it with me. Like I love that idea of community building through commonality and that support system of like, hey, I don't know if you know about this, but I just took this cool class. Are you interested in that? Or, hey, I hear that they're looking for people to lay things down as a scratch track for this temp thing, and we don't get paid, but it would really be useful to get a chance to get in the booth and do it. Like that sort of sharing and that kind of community building can really be wildly supportive when you're on that like initial climb, because you do feel very alone and solitary. And of course, we were lucky, we were married, so like we had each other to already sort of
Yeah.
bounce off of. But I do think that like everybody's coming from a different place. And so like finding your community, and that also makes you better, because like all ships rise with the tide sort of a
Mhm.
thing. Like
Hmm.
you keep each other afloat, and you look out for each other.
And luckily the voice acting community, and we found this fairly quickly when we started playing with the voice acting community, is they're very supportive of each other, which we were not used to coming from a theater and on camera community. Which is not to say that we didn't make great friends and that people didn't support each other, but there's sort of this general, like, people are so afraid of not getting like a scarcity thing.
Let's just say I never got a call from a fellow on-camera actor who said, "Hey, I just auditioned for this. You should go in for that."
Yeah.
Whereas for voiceover, that happens more often.
Yeah, I got a call once from a guy that I didn't even know very well. This is early on in my voiceover career, and he goes, "Hey, I just auditioned for this video game at this studio. Have you read for it?" And I'm like, "No." Because, "You should go crash the audition, because I think you would be perfect for it." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." And like they hung up, and I'm like, "What's the trick here? Like,
What just
is this a
happened? Is
trap?"
this a
Like,
murder? Is this a murder?
right?
Like, what's happening?
And then I went, I didn't get it. He didn't get
And
it.
then it was Spider-Man, and then you got
And
it.
it was Spider-Man, and the rest is history. But Thwipstery,
Oh,
Thwipstery. No, okay, sorry. I'm,
no.
I'm always trying to quip. But the point being that I had not I had not worked in any medium where my competition was literally trying to also help me get the job. I'm like, I love this community. So
Quipstery would have been the right way.
Quipstery.
You're so
Okay,
close,
That's
so
Quipstery.
close.
so
Yeah.
close. Yeah, I'm gonna workshop that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll workshop.
Looking back at the whole course, now that you have it completed,
Yes.
what do you think was the most challenging part to conceptualize and just pull off, or just figure out as you were tinkering?
I think it was the translating, like, we had said earlier, we had written these things
Mhm.
down for the book, and we had like gone over and hashed over it and figured it out and tried to not replicate it too much and not over tell the same thing
Mhm.
repeatedly and sort of like do that. And then being in front of the camera and trying to like talk through our system, there was a lot of redundancy and us trying to figure out, okay, what are we really boiling it down to? Because when you are doing it not seen, it's easy to clean things up. It's like, like kill those babies and move things around and adjust the script and figure that out. And nobody sees all of the like the vomit draft so much.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it on camera, because we're teaching it, there is this like fly by the seat of your pants quality to it. And so it was a matter of like finding the right balance, because there's also something I think that's fun for people seeing it not being completely polished, like seeing us just be us.
Hmm.
That's why some people are going to take this class, because there's a lot of classes you can take out there, many of them done by friends of ours.
Mhm.
But you're all going to get something different in each of those
Yeah.
classes, because we're all having a different experience that we're coming to the table with and a different goal for what our class is. So we're hoping to make VO 101 sort of baseline foundation. Like that's what we're trying to create. But you're also wanting to see the Tara and Yuri show a little bit. Like that's you want to like
Yeah.
see us together talking through something. And so it was finding the balance between the talking it through and us being each other, and also like, oh my God, did we just say that 17 times in a row? Like what's happening? So it was just finding that
Not
balance.
interrupting each other was hard because we,
Oh my
we were
God.
so excited about we keep wanting to jump in. We're like,
To us,
no, 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 you talk,
like,
then I'll talk, then you talk, then I'll talk.
yeah,
Um,
that was really hard.
and
Sometimes
then
we
I
had to refilm it.
and I think for me also letting go of it and letting it be ready was a challenge, because every time we would go through it, I'd be like, well, I want to make it better. Well, oh, you know what I forgot to
Yeah.
say? And
Yeah, the way Homer is that
yeah,
just like,
like
oh
Yeah.
no.
every on every sort of thing like this or a script, you're writing or whatever, you're always going to want to noodle it into something better. And at a certain point, you'll be like, you know what? I've got to put it out. It's time to put it out there
And
and walk
also,
away.
honestly, like if I'm just being truthful about the whole thing, we shot this as two long, solid, straight days in a
Mhm.
studio to camera. And I think both of us just like, those are long days for us just to
Yeah.
be like constantly teaching so that we could whittle it down to 9.5 hours. And if we could have given ourselves 3 days in the studio, but everything costs money.
That's
So
why I
like,
hire a studio.
so if we had had 3 days, they could have been slightly
Basi-
shorter, and
Yeah.
we could have like been able to say today we're doing this today, like, but it was just like
Yeah.
get it all in like
Every now and then, yeah, when I watch something, I'm looking in my eyes and I'm like, oh, that was hour 8.
yeah,
Like
it
I
was
can
like
tell.
I
I
was
can see it in my eyes.
when I
Yeah.
was saying that, but I mean it.
Yeah.
I just like
Yeah.
it's just these are things you learn
Yeah.
in after the
I guess we've all had tired professors. It's not going to be
It's
new to
fine.
anybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't put anyone to sleep. So
I don't think you'll put anyone to sleep. No. Now, Yuri, if I may, I do
Yes.
have a Spider-Man question that I
Oh.
want to
Hit me.
ask.
Maybe I'll be able to answer
Is
it.
the
Maybe I
answer
won't.
Well, there's
Clip?
definitely, we'll see. I think it's a mix. But,
Okay.
it was recently confirmed that Wolverine and Spider-Man take place in the same universe. Did you know
That
this?
you-
This is official. The Spider-Man 2, the
Okay,
Wolverine
then
game.
then you already know more about it than I do.
But that's
in that
okay.
respect, yeah.
Because my first question was just, do you think in your head that those two have already met? Or is that a meeting that has not yet taken place?
I based on the information that I have, I don't think they've met yet because I think he would
Wolverine
have
would
referred.
cut
He would have
Spider-Man?
right because Spider-Man would be dead.
You'd be like,
you
"Stop
know?
those jokes. Stop the jokes."
Right, there would be no more Spider-Man. But yeah, but I mean, I would love to. I'd love to see them together, obviously.
But you would love to see
but-
Wolverine and Deadpool together.
But or well, no, yeah, Spider-Man did.
I mean, Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Yeah,
more.
yeah. I'd
Sorry.
love to. There's so many things that I'd like to. I'd like to see Spider-Man and Moon Knight, but I'd love to play Moon Knight and Spider-Man.
That'd be
No,
weird.
anyway,
Change
yeah,
up
I
your
know,
voice.
I know.
Let's jump back
There's
and
so
forth.
many. There's so many things my nerdy little heart wants to see. I don't think in this universe they've met each other yet. I would love for them to obviously to create opportunities, but that the Wolverine game was done, completely separate. We didn't get to see any of that. We weren't part of like any of that process. And so it was kind of like a black box. Like I'm learning about it basically in real time with you. So, yeah.
I'm happy to be able to tell you about this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I'm still hoping to see Carnage properly.
Oh.
Well, they left so many doors open
I know.
at the end of 2. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys both for talking to me
course.
today about your awesome course that maybe I'll have to check out, even though I don't do voice acting. I'll still have
Why
to
not?
check it out. And I hope that it brings that knowledge and additional experience that all these people need.
Thank you.
Thank you. We hope so
Thank you,
too.
Russ.